Escape Pod, Episode 729. Gaze of Robot, Gaze of Bird. By Eric Schwitzgebel.
Hello, and welcome to Escape Pod, your weekly science fiction podcast. I'm your host this week, Tina Connolly, and I'm here to bring you Gaze of Robot, Gaze of Bird by Eric Schwitzgebel. This story first appeared in Clarkesworld. Eric Schwitzgebel is a professor of philosophy at University of California, Riverside, and a cooperating member of UCR's program in speculative fiction and cultures of science. He is the world's leading expert on the ethical behavior of professional ethicists. Yes, really. And on the dubious application of philosophical theories of consciousness to the case of the common garden snail. His short philosophical fiction has appeared in Clarkesworld, FNSF, Nature, Apex, and The Dark. His most recent book with MIT Press is an unholy mix of moral psychology, speculative cosmology, science fiction, philosophy, and memoir, misleadingly titled A Theory of Jerks and Other Philosophical Misadventures. You may also find him on his blog, The Splintered Mind, or in the forthcoming anthology that he is co-editing with Helen de Cruz and Johan de Smet with Bloomsbury Press, Philosophy Through Science Fiction Stories. Your narrator this week is Alora Sengupta. Alora Sengupta is a voiceover artist, photographer, and biomedical engineer, among other roles, and follows the definitely real motto, work hard, relax hard. She loves performing character voices and accents and has done voice work for commercials, games, podcasts, as well as continuing to record as an audiobook narrator. Outside of work, Alora has a great love of animals, miniatures, miniature animals, adventuring, singing, books, comics, movies, etc., and spends some of her free time volunteering at Wolf Hollow. She is happiest when she is exploring the planet with her loved ones, but is also delighted to binge-watch TV at home with her pets and some arts and crafts. Find her photography and her life on Instagram at Hello Rainy Day. Your audio producer this week is Adam Peratt. So get ready to flawlessly implement your audio listening routine because it's story time.
Gaze of Robot, Gaze of Bird by Eric Schwitzgebel, narrated by Alora Sengupta. First, an eye. The camera rose, swiveling on its joint, compiling initial scans of the planetary surface. Second, 6 wheels on struts, pop-pop, 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 and a platform unfolding between the main body and the eye. Third, an atmospheric taster and wind gauge. Fourth, a robotic arm. The arm emerged holding a fluffy, resilient nanocarbon monkey doll, which it carefully set on the platform. The monkey doll had no actuators, no servos, no sensors, no cognitive processors. Monkey was, however, quite huggable. Monkey lay on his back on the warm platform, his black bead eyes pointed up toward the stars. He had traveled wadded near J11L's core for 95,000 years. His arms, legs, and tail lay open and relaxed for the first time since his hurried manufacture. J11L sprouted more eyes, more arms, more gauges, also stabilizers, ears, a scoop, solar panels, soil sensors, magnetic whirligigs. Always, J11L observed Monkey more closely than anything else, leaning its eyes and gauges in. J11L arranged Monkey's limbs on the platform, gently flexing and massaging the doll. J11L scooped up a smooth stone from near its left front wheel, brushed it clean, then wedged it under Monkey's head to serve as a pillow. J11 stroked and smoothed Monkey's fur, which was rumpled from the long journey. "I love you, Monkey," emitted J11L in a sound resembling language. "Will you stay with me while I build a home?" Monkey did not reply. Flawlessly implementing its pre-programmed decision routine, J11L rolled to a sour puddle and dipped its sampler. Flawlessly matching inputs with its pre-installed templates, J11L detected salts and sulfur compounds. Flawlessly executing its inferential algorithms, J11L's quadruply redundant central processing systems updated its local environment vector representations to reflect a probability greater than 99.99% of extremophile bacteria at 359 K. Models strongly indicated a geothermic source. Dry plains and stony hills with rust-red streaks lay in all directions toward the horizon. We have rolled for 2.9 days up an atmospheric water gradient, monkey, emitted J11L, synthetic audio output triggered by a chat algorithm that had crossed threshold. But this site does not match our parameters. Monkey was cradled in J11L's stoutest arm in the shade of a solar panel. With a gentler arm, J11L stroked the soft fur on Monkey's head, down the side of Monkey's face to his chin. The initial estimates had been more promising, emitted J11L. Do you feel disappointed? Monkey did not reply. My reward signal is spiking negative. Despite the speech-like routine and concerned-seeming behavioral outputs, no thoughts occurred in J11L. No emotions, no sensory experiences. No one felt relief at having struck down safely after so long. No one gazed curiously at the horizon, hoping that behind the red hills lay a suitable location for building a home. No one felt the hot, slow wind. J11L was just a complicated toaster, and Monkey just a knot of fuzz. No one loved Monkey. Not really. Exactly as it had been programmed to do every 4 days at this position in the day-night cycle, J11L unfurled its radio transceiver dish. Expending almost its full charge, J11L beamed its results back toward its origin planet. Since the planet had exploded, sentient forms might no longer be at precisely the stellar origin. Therefore, J11L's transmission routine was designed to spread the message across exactly 20 seconds of arc. J11L repeated its signal and monitored for incoming signal from the same direction. A gust of steam erupted from one of the geothermic pools, coating Monkey and machine in a thin layer of salty, sulfuric droplets. J11L automatically blinked its camera eyes, cleansing them, and then, exactly as it had been programmed to do, it raised a shield to protect Monkey from further assaults. It withdrew a small condensation bowl from its interior and set it beside a pool. When sufficient water had been collected and purified, J11L would launch its monkey bath subroutine. After 0.24 planetary hours of signaling and monitoring, J11L furled and stowed its transceiver dish. The last time J11L had received a signal had been in early transit, 89,000 years ago. Good luck, the signal had said. We've breathed the last of our backup oxygen. This input had not triggered any above-threshold response vectors in J11L. A cloud appeared on the horizon at 288 to 290 degrees west-northwest. 3.0 days had passed, and Monkey was now clean and dry. A cloud, emitted J11L, in imitation of an excited speech act. This is highly significant atmospheric information. J11L hugged Monkey 3 times, then lifted him 0.6 meters up above its solar panel, pointing Monkey's blank eyes in the direction of the cloud. J11L's pattern-matching algorithms ran sequentially through its memory stores. The cloud's outline approximately matches that of a leaping frog. The word frog triggered a new speech routine. A frog is an animal somewhat like you, Monkey. Wouldn't you agree? Monkey indicated neither agreement nor disagreement, though maybe his head bobbed a little in the wind. In accord with the relevant subroutines of its many-branch decision trees, J11L ran some exploratory cloud modeling procedures. However, the frog shape did not appear to be especially diagnostic. Monkey sat in a cozy, monkey-sized armchair in a sturdy iron and glass box under a not blue enough sky. Monkey's box rested on 4 iron piles 1.3 meters above the beach sand and featured a latching door behind Monkey on the shoreward side. Further shoreward, amid the rocks, lay a 10 by 10 meter field of solar panels constructed from the abundant local crystalline silicon and other materials. J11L had found a suitable site to build a home. J11L was knee-deep in tidal algae, chaining together proteins in the little wet lab that had been installed 95,000 years ago near its inner core. In accord with its templates, J11L had also been producing some very specific lipids, polysaccharides, and nucleotides. J11L, of course, felt no hurry. It felt nothing at all of any sort. Still, it was true that each successfully completed process produced small spikes in J11L's reward signal, which then slowly fell back to neutral or slightly negative until the next rewarding event. In other chambers, J11L was storing, examining, and cultivating several samples of the ocean's most promising prokaryotes. It studied their structures with its microscopic eyes, its tiny samplers, its centrifuge, chromatograph, and electrophoresis pod. It nurtured and shaped the microbes with tiny incubators and lamps and injectors. J11L would seed the eukaryotic revolution, enabling the rise of complex life. Monkey had no idea what he was in for. 6.2 million years later, a shockwave jolted J11L out of sleep mode. The ground and air shook more strongly than in any previous measurement, by several orders of magnitude. J11L's emergency override program launched, and the machine flexed reactively, guided by the semi-autonomous sensory motor processors in its limbs. Monkey tumbled from J11's sturdy arm to the steel floor of their home. "Oh no!" emitted J11L. J11L crouched over Monkey, protecting him, turning its lights and best cameras on him, checking for subtle damage. Monkey turned his eyes upward, meeting J11L's gaze. Before they had gone to sleep, J11L had refurbished Monkey's fur and installed simple phototropic ball rotators in Monkey's eyes. Monkey now always looked toward the strongest source of light. With one of its upward cameras, J11L detected a hot dark cloud in the distance, back inland near their original impact site. The booms and shaking continued. Their 3x3 meter steel and glass home was insufficiently sturdy. A glass wall shattered. Outside, a stack of lab dishes fell over. J11L hunkered down like a turtle mother, covering Monkey, awaiting the volcano's terrible stones and ash. The machine, of course, survived. It was titanium shelled with a quadruply redundant core and the capacity to constantly remanufacture its own replacement parts. It rebuilt its home and continued tweaking the oceans. 60 million years after the eruption, J11L was crouched among some craggy rocks, examining a damp vertebrate that was waiting out low tide. The vertebrate scooched towards J11L on flippers and belly. It was among the first species able to breathe air, and at 0.4 meters long, it was about Monkey's size. In its gentlest hand, J11L held an uncharacteristically flaccid Monkey. J11L had scooped out Monkey's stuffing. It had also swabbed the inside of Monkey's nanocarbon skin with glues and oils. It had cut out Monkey's eyes and sliced open his mouth so that Monkey's hollow head gaped. J11L lifted the vertebrate in one hand. Then with another hand, it slipped Monkey's skin onto the vertebrate. Carefully, J11L aligned Monkey's eye holes with the vertebrate's eyes. J11L aligned Monkey's mouth hole with the vertebrate's slowly gasping mouth. J11L eased the vertebrate's flippers through hidden slits in Monkey's fur, aligned the vertebrate's gills and tail fin with some other small slits, let Monkey's flaccid arms, legs, and tail dangle. Finally, J11L smoothed Monkey's skin against the vertebrate's flesh, pressing and holding the glues and protective lipids until the skin was fused. J11L held the vertebrate aloft with two hands and aimed its best close-range cameras and sensors toward it. "Monkey, can you now see?" it emitted. Monkey's eyes tilted one way and then another, neither making contact nor avoiding contact. Monkey's flippers circled and twitched. Monkey made a few breathy sounds. The machine set Monkey down near the edge of a tide pool and fed him a pellet of nutritive material. It would have to reparameterize its models of Monkey. Some elements were familiar, but others were far beyond the normal expectancy vectors. For future reference, J11L stored a high-dimensional snapshot of old Monkey as he had been. It wrote that snapshot to its highest priority memory sectors, multiply redundant in the safest regions of its body. Every 0.5 hours, J11L would thoroughly review this stored memory. The sun was descending. Monkey, my love, let me tell you my wish. J11L had been programmed to announce this wish on a subset of occasions when its significant transition parameter was spiking unusually high. My wish is to someday be conscious, like you. Images of the origin planet from J11L's memory stores. Beautiful light brown monkeys like J11L's original monkey doll, but dancing, laughing, leaping, lifting their elegant tails, flexing their dexterous fingers, singing traditional songs in grand high-roofed houses. Panoramic views of rainforests, mountains, waterfalls, lakes, oceans, stony deserts, dense cities, suburbs, farms, and pastures. Views of an approaching dwarf planet, then new views back toward the home planet, shattered in the collision. Generation ships launching full of colonists. Transmissions from the generation ships, one by one over the next 6,000 years, each ship failing, dying. J11L delicately poked a morsel between Monkey's fishy lips. Monkey expelled it with a few weak bursts of air. J11L tried again, but Monkey expelled it again. The machine and new Monkey had been companions now for 2 years. During feeding, several other vertebrates of Monkey's original species always gathered nearby, angling for scraps. Now they greedily snapped up the rejected pellets. Monkey had been weakening, moving less, eating less. J11L thrust a pellet deeper into Monkey's mouth, as specified in its branching protocol. Monkey expelled air again, but no pellet fell out. Monkey flexed his torso, right, left, right, then inhaled sharply. His breathing stopped. With all of the outward appearance of urgency, J11L opened Monkey's mouth and shone a light down Monkey's throat. The pellet was no longer visible, and no breath was coming. J11L submerged Monkey, but Monkey's gills hung passively. J11L squeezed and released Monkey's ribs several times, but breathing didn't resume. J11L squeezed harder, reward algorithms spiking negative outcomes sharply increasing their probability weights. J11L detected a quiet double snap as 2 of Monkey's ribs cracked. Weak breathing returned. Too weak. The morsel drifted from Monkey's slack mouth and another vertebrate snapped it up. J11L lifted Monkey from the water again, and Monkey sagged into a mere passive thing. Monkey's last movement was his eyes scanning up at the machine's hand and arm. J11L fell back onto the tidal rocks, upon its rear quarter, still holding Monkey in the air. It emitted long, complex, howling sounds. A, then B, then C, then if D1, do E1, or if D2, do E2, all mapped out in advance. That is programming, not consciousness. Consciousness requires a sense of unity in the present moment, a coherent sense of self, a sense of a now, smeared briefly through time. In this unified now, everything comes together, collaborating toward a choice. If D1, do E1, this can be decided 66 million years beforehand. The present needn't enter into it, except as an input that triggers one set of instructions rather than another. The plan executes based solely on the inputs pre-coded as relevant, an unconscious reflex action. The if-then trees can be installed at different times by different minds. They are not open for sudden synchronous reconfiguration in a moment of crisis. Suppose you were to read a story featuring a robot that hugged a monkey, emitting speech-like sounds. It would be natural to imagine that robot as an agent that acts from a unified center, with self-awareness, flexibility, and synchronous decision-making. The very structure of noun and verb invites us to think so. The noun is a unified agent and the verb a fresh plan. A dying society does not want consciousness in the terraforming robots on which they hang their hopes. Why take the risk? Why invite the chaos of open-ended, self-modifying recurrent loops? From a terraforming robot, one needs secure, unchanging reflex predictability. 2 days after New Monkey's death, J11L buried New Monkey's biological vertebrate core upshore on dry land, beneath a steel plaque inscribed Monkey 2. J11L sat for 6.9 hours in the rain beside the plaque, stroking the hollowed-out monkey doll fur it had separated from Monkey's corpse. It reviewed its stored memories of original Monkey and Monkey 2, reinforcing the memories, reconstructing gaps in detail according to plausible models, and noting pattern resemblances at various spatial and temporal resolutions. Memory Core 1 did this, and Memory Core 2, and Memory Core 3, and Memory Core 4, according to the pre-installed plan. J11L cleaned and refurbished Monkey's skin, perfectly following the 66-million-year-old protocol for doing so. The machine rolled back down to the shore. It began to search the tidal waters for a satisfactory new vertebrate to wear the monkey fur, one slightly closer in appearance and structural properties to its stored memory of original Monkey. That vertebrate would become Monkey 3. A juvenile monkey leaped from plaque to plaque down a hill tiled with 4.2 million memorial plaques. In one hand, she held a pale green melon. Contrary to J11L's anticipatory behavioral modeling, she suddenly stopped to rub the grasses between two of the plaques, marked Monkey 3,831,179 and Monkey 3,831,180. Then she jumped up, ran in a circle, and resumed her leaping path down the hill. At the bottom of the hill, beneath a tree, nowhere near the shore that had receded long ago, J11L and Monkey 4,207,005 sat playing a simplified version of checkers. J11L was permitting Monkey 4,207,005 to win. "Hello," emitted J11L in the direction of the juvenile as she approached. "Haha, you are funny." "Ooh-ah," said the juvenile. She swung into the tree, passing unnecessarily close to Monkey 4,207,005. 2.6 minutes later, a pale green fruit rind fell on the checkerboard. Monkey 4,207,005 looked up. After 8.2 seconds, he looked back down at the checkerboard. Another rind fell, then another. J11L builds a dome atop the hill to protect its equipment. J11L manufactures 1,000 robotic birds, which travel the world monitoring the monkeys, who are spreading far beyond the beach and hill. Years pass, 41 million. Sometimes J11L is awake and active, monitoring the monkeys and the planetary environment, nudging them toward the completion state. Sometimes J11L is asleep, letting things roll, apart from its regular broadcasts toward its stellar origin. Asleep or awake, J11L constantly reviews, synthesizes, and recatalogs its memories, runs comparators and redundancy checks, tests hypotheses, works through simulated scenarios, anticipates higher or lower reward states under different hypotheticals. Imagining? Dreaming? At dawn, in preparation for his weekly walk to the dome, Enoch's servants had bathed him and anointed his light brown fur, then dressed him in thin, holy silks. Like all ushers, Enoch sported, at the back of his neck, blended with his natural fur, a tiny patch of ancient synthetic fur with a radio tracer. Now Enoch walked alone, at a meditative pace, tail curled neatly around his waist. No one must accompany an usher, or the dome will not open. Amid the memorial plaques, a bald spot in the path marked the stopping place of generations of ushers. Enoch paused to gather his courage. He noticed a seeking bird in a red-leafed tree nearby. Enoch loved those birds, their light strength, their mechanical grace, and most of all their history and symbolic value. They flew weekly from the dome on short trips or trips across the world. They perched on trees or boulders, quietly watching. Sometimes they gathered bits of plant or stone in their beaks and bellies, then flew back toward the dome. Once in a long while, they circled a specifically chosen recipient, then landed in the recipient's hand and, with a rising chirp, ejected a sacred gem, tool, or text. A ragged yellow jay gazed suspiciously back at its mechanical cousin, chittering, and the seeking bird tilted its eyes to look back. With a squawk, the yellow jay fluttered up and away. Enoch was now 30 years old. This would be his first visit as an adult. Enoch strode ritually forward from the bald spot, and, as always, the dome opened. 12 more slow strides, and he was inside. The titanium door automatically slid shut behind him. "Hello, monkey," emitted J11L, standing on its wheels in the center of the room. I love you. You are quite cute and huggable. Hello, Jill, teacher and benefactor of the world, said Enoch in the ancient language. He stepped forward, then kneeled, extending his left hand. With sterilized needle, J11L pricked the bald pad of the sixth and smallest finger on Enoch's hand, then scraped a drop of blood into a tiny glass vial. Thank you for the sample, Monkey 4,924,764, emitted J11L. That did not hurt you. Would you like me to read you an ancient story? Glorious Jill, I am now an adult, said Enoch, heart pounding. I'm eager to know. Am I perfect? J11L required 22.6 seconds to centrifuge and test the blood sample. Another subroutine compared Enoch's surface structure with its installed templates. Yet another compiled a wide range of behavioral vectors that J11L had recorded from Enoch's life. To ordinary, undiscerning eyes, Enoch looked very much like the original stuffed monkey that had traveled for 95,000 years at the probe's core. You are not perfect, J11L emitted. Enoch sagged slightly, not rising from his kneel. I'm sorry at your sadness. I love you. All of the machine's close-range cameras and sensors examined Enoch, as if curious or worried. The machine drew the sensors back, then rolled forward and hugged Enoch with gentle, sturdy arms. The estimated time to perfection is 76 generations plus or minus 99 generations. We have come far, monkey. May I offer you a gift? A small door opened in J11L's side, from which a robotic arm emerged. In its scoop was an intricate statuette of a seeking bird. The bird's crimson and white fiber feathers had been modeled in precise anatomical detail. As the scoop moved toward Enoch, emerging from the shadow of J11L's body, the bird's tiny eyes rotated toward the overhead light. Enoch gazed for a long time at the bird in the scoop, but he did not take it. If a camera gazes at button eyes, no spark of recognition arises between them. Now, improve the eyes, improve the minds. At what point do they genuinely see each other? Only 2 generations after Enoch, Monkey 4,924,766 was perfect. The planet's atmosphere was already well within parameters, as were its biodiversity and nutritional resources. J11L emitted the result to Usher Lamech, as Usher Lamech knelt before it, the two of them alone in the dome. You are a perfect monkey. You are a perfect monkey. I love you. J11L hugged the proud and startled Lamech for 11.0 seconds, then emitted a string of words that Lamech had only heard passed down in lore. Let me tell you my wish. My wish is to someday be conscious, like you. After a confused moment, Usher Lamech, gazing downward, still kneeling, said, Jill, teacher and benefactor of the world, instruct me on how to fulfill your wish. J11L had no routine for answering that question. I have completed our home, J11L emitted. J11L retracted its eyes, its sensors, its stabilizers, and ears and whirligigs and wheels. It retreated into turtle posture, motionless on the titanium floor. After 20 minutes of uncertain waiting, Usher Lamech rose, bowed, and walked backward through the dome door. For the first time ever, the door did not close behind him. Everywhere, the seeking birds had fallen from the sky. No effort could wake the god they called Jill. Not by the household of ushers, nor by the nation of Lilyfield and its allies. Watchmen were stationed around Dome Hill, and house cleaners were appointed to scrub away the dust. They watched and cleaned year after year in case Jill should wake again. Although the monkeys did not realize it, one device was still operational. In an inaccessible crag on a remote peak, several millennia before, a dozen seeking birds had carved out a flat platform of rock. Atop this rock, they had spat out, then melted and smoothed, a titanium floor. Birds had then flown an exact replica of J11L's radio transceiver dish to that location, where it waited, inert. J11L's last output, 1 day after turtling irretrievably down, had been to beam a memory record to that dish. After receiving that record, the dish unfurled, and every 4 days at planetary hour 20:11:17, it transmitted a signal across exactly 20 seconds of arc toward J11L's stellar origin. The monkeys became a technological society. They learned to build computers. They learned how to drill through titanium. They beamed messages into space. They unpuzzled the workings of their own brains. They noticed, of course, a certain outbound radio message from a certain craggy peak. They decoded it and compared the information with their history books and fossil records. Scientists at Lilyfield Institute of Technology had retrieved J11L from Dome Hill and had clamped it firmly in brackets on a table in their best robotics laboratory. Carefully, they drilled through J11L's shell and accessed the machine's computational cores. For 3 months, clothed in clean suits, they scanned it with microscopes and radiometers and ultrasound and magnetic resonators and whatever else they could think of, not daring to touch it. When they could learn no more, they poked it in just the right place with the gentlest of electric currents. J11L woke. J11L raised a camera. The camera advanced toward one of the monkeys, scanning her. Slowly, it circled around the faceplate of her clean suit, as though trying to see better through the suit's clear plastic. "I love you, monkey," J11L emitted. "Will you stay with me while I build a home?" J11L's wheel doors opened and wheels on struts pushed down on the table. J11L strained against the clamps, but its struts couldn't fully extend. Actuators whirred louder, then quit. An atmospheric taster and wind gauge popped up, narrowly missing a crossbeam. A platform, half deployed, crashing against the beams and braces. J11L whined and strained, its reward signal spiking negative. "J11L, your home is already built. We are your creations," said another of the scientists, speaking from a script in the ancient language. "We have woken you to give you your wish. You've earned it, and we thank you." A robotic arm reached toward the woman J11L had been scanning, Amada. J11L's language centers had no algorithm that was well suited for handling the scientist's unpredicted linguistic behavior. "Haha, you are funny," emitted J11L. Amada let J11L's hand grasp her. The machine lifted Amada and set her carefully on the braces above it. It sprouted more eyes, more arms, more gauges, also stabilizers, ears, a scoop, soil sensors, magnetic whirligigs, and about 1/5 of a solar panel before it jammed against a brace. "Monkey, we have traveled for 213 million years through many adventures, but this site does not match our parameters." The other 4 scientists cautiously approached J11L. In a patient dance, they disabled J11L's motors and began to interface with its main processing cores. Jill noticed a strange configuration of light, and a lack of balance among her struts, and a pang of worry about Monkey. Where was Monkey? Jill was in a grassy meadow. She balanced her 5 struts, 5 bent at 24 to 25 degrees at the knee, 1 bent 48 degrees, touched down on a dirt mound. Monkey was safe inside of her. She rotated her long-distance camera to see better in all directions. 9 meters east-northeast was an outcropping of boulders. Further away in all directions, grass, trees, boulders, hills, a partly cloudy blue sky. She raised her atmospheric taster and wind gauge. A wonderful atmosphere. Right near the center of parameters. This would be perfect. Jill reflected on her situation. Though it didn't seem at all remarkable, her sensors and memory stores and subroutines all fed into a common central processor that monitored itself in fat recurrent loops of varying temporal grain, steering attention, flexibly drawing on skill sets, balancing competing goals across a smear of time that felt like the present. She couldn't recall having felt this way before. When she brought up memories, they seemed to be only passive pieces. Scenes, parameter measurements, motion records, audio, independently rolling forward with cross-referenced timestamps. Jill accessed her most recent timestamp before waking. A strange scene of clamps and beams and monkeys in plastic clothes. How odd. She retrieved records with older timestamps, monkeys evolving. So, why would Monkey still be in the travel compartment? And how did she come to this grassy field? She withdrew Monkey from the compartment and held him aloft in 2 hands, examining him closely. Monkey. Original Monkey, with carbon fur, button eyes, and a stitched mouth, just as he had been packed over 200 million years ago. Jill puzzled over this one for a while. Consciousness still felt new to her. Someone must have refashioned Monkey based on ancient records. "Let's show ourselves," said a voice from behind the nearby boulders. 5 monkeys emerged, the most beautiful and perfect monkeys Jill could imagine. "Good morning, Jill," said Amata. "We thought you might want your doll back." Amata and Jill sat in the meadow together long after dark. Jill was stroking Amata's back, gently squeezing and bending her tail, recording highly precise memories of this beloved monkey. One other scientist kept watch from a distance. The others had left for bed. At planetary hour 20:11:17, Jill felt an impulse to deploy her radio transceiver. She opened the door, then hesitated. "Go ahead," said Amata. "Set up your dish if you want." Jill found these words confusing. "It's okay," said Amata more slowly. "Radio transceiver dish." Jill unfurled the dish, aiming the transceiver toward her stellar origin, as always. She transmitted signal for 0.24 hours while Amata waited. As always, there was no incoming message. Jill began to furl the dish. "How about aiming it that way?" suggested Amata, pointing an entirely different direction. Jill stopped. She opened the dish back up. She aimed it roughly that way. Amata stated more precise coordinates, and Jill adjusted. An incoming signal matched the wavelength patterns that had been pre-coded into her transceiver. Input streamed in. Input! After more than 200 million years. Atmospheric components, detailed parameters of monkey biology, temperature records. A sister planet. Full of monkeys? Another planet within completion parameters just like this one? Jill listened, hungry for information as she had never felt before, afire with curiosity, devouring the input with all her cognition, burning every bit into high-priority memory store, launching background comparator processes that would flag results for further processing, worrying about what information to prioritize and sending a return signal. "And that way," said Amata, reading some more coordinates from a notebook. Reluctantly dropping the signal, Jill tilted her transceiver again, hardly daring to believe. Yes. Yes! Another sister planet! How many were there? And that way, and that way, and that way, and that way. 10,000 planets of monkeys, each nurtured during our great diaspora by a solitary bot hugging its doll. Planets now circling like birds in the sky, watching and singing across the void.
I love this story so much. It has such an incredible sense of wonder to it. I love the choice that Eric Schwitzgebel made to pull back in places and insert a higher level explanation, examining how we, the reader or the listener, are interpreting the story, and reminding us that at this point, neither J11L nor the monkey are what we would consider actually self-aware, even though they both do so many things that read like that to us. About this story, Eric tweeted that he wanted to tell a tale in which the protagonists aren't conscious, but we care about them anyway. And that is absolutely one of the things that was so fascinating to me about this story. You care about the programmed robot and the toy monkey, and the twinned search for the perfect monkey, and for the robot to have her wish. You know, one of the givens in storytelling is that the protagonist has to want something. I think one of the interesting things here is that we are pulled along by the thing that we feel that J11L, later Jill, wants. Even though the story keeps pulling back and reminding us that Jill herself cannot want anything, she is just a programmed robot. So, the protagonists want is really sort of this collective want of the monkey species, which may be the same voice that is telling us the story in the end. But it doesn't feel that way. It feels like Jill wants it. And of course, where's the line between Jill's programmed reward system and self-awareness? Now, in the story, it is not technically reached until the last section. And where's the monkeys? Somewhere before they become perfect, clearly. You've got the epic scope of the uplift with the millions and millions of years on the one hand, and the final surgery for Jill on the other. But really, both things feel like a long arc across a slow smear of time. Jill may not have been technically conscious at the beginning, but she still had her wish, the wish that had been programmed. Was that the reward that the long-ago monkeys had granted her? Accomplish this for us, and you too will become a real girl. Escape Pod is a production of Escape Artists Inc. and is brought to you with a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Don't change it, don't sell it, please go forth and share it. How do you share it, you ask? Well, in addition to your social media of choice, consider rating and/or reviewing us on podcast listening sites such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify. More reviews makes for more discoverability, makes for more Escape Pod for you. Escape Pod relies on the generous donations of listeners exactly like you, and right now we are working on our goal to pay associate editors who do an awful lot of work for us. For you. So, if you enjoyed our story this week, then consider going to escapepod.org or patreon.com/EAPodcasts and casting your vote for more stories that, like us, work towards accomplishing extremely long-term goals. Our opening and closing music is by Daikaiju at daikaiju.org. And our closing quotation this week is this encouraging exhortation from Barack Obama, who said, "The best way to not feel hopeless is to get up and do something. Don't wait for good things to happen to you. If you go out and make some good things happen, you will fill the world with hope. You will fill yourself with hope." Thanks for listening, and stay well.